Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading a multi-character exterior by me, so let's get into it. Child. Child actually scares you once, even though he's really laid back and really nice to you. And most of the time, his anger is never directed at you. But this time, he seemed like he was just raging at everything and everyone around him, and you were terrified. And it seems like he wasn't even noticing what was going on. He didn't notice how scared you were, because he stormed up to you, yelling at you. You couldn't make sense of what he was saying. It all sounded like nonsense to you. Things about his work and something being ruined, and you had no idea what it was. And when you tried to tell him that it'll be okay and whatever it was, it could be fixed, he yelled at you, loud enough to make you flinch. And then he quieted down immediately, going to your room and trying to forget the horrible sight it was. His voice, and the way he looked so uncaring. And that night, Childe didn't come home to you at all. It was only after a few days that he came back with a bouquet of flowers, a box of chocolate, and he begged you. He literally got on his knees and begged you to stay with him, apologizing. And then you decided to give him a chance and talk it out together. Albedo. Albedo's really scary when the big problem goes on. But none of it is directed at you, and he's very careful at who he directs his anger towards. So while he's not angry at you, you're still very scared of him, and don't feel like approaching him when he's mad. But once it all blows over, and he comes back to senses, he looks through you and you're nowhere nearby. And that's when he knows that he probably messed up. So he goes to you, asking you what's wrong. And then you hug him, telling him that you're just glad he calmed down. And that moment, he knows just how much he scared you, apologizing and telling you that no matter what, you shouldn't be scared of him. Because even though he was angry, he would never ever do anything to you. Venti. Venti is actually quite cute. As in, he really tries his best not to be really mad at you or anyone in particular. But sometimes, he also gets angry. And in those moments, he's actually quite scary because he's awfully quiet. None of the cheer or happiness behind his voice. And his eyes would be dim. All of the cheerfulness and the whole Venti aspect of his personality is gone. And he's quiet. And in that moment, Venti truly looks like he's an Archon. Thousands of years old. And it all shows in his eyes. So you don't approach him at all. And he actually tries to stay away from you, telling you that he just can't have it right now. He can't deal with you or anyone. And you understand. You try your best to. And then he leaves. For days. And then when he's back, he actually treats you. Going out with you on a date night. And stuff. And even though that gets you to forget, but sometimes you still think about that night. And how you were scared of him. But now you know that no matter what happens to Venti, or no matter how he feels, he always puts others first before acting out on his emotions. And that's something you would always be thankful for. Kazuha. Kazuha is actually very angry. And in that moment, you're just terrified of what he could do. Because it seems like his anger was blinding him completely. And in that moment, Kazuha seemed like an uncontrollable storm to you. And you knew to stay far away. And Beto told you that when he's so absorbed in his emotions like this, you should never come close to him unless he's really about to mess things up. Thankfully, he wasn't. But he yelled at you when you tried to tell him something. Just a little tip, something that could get his anger down. But he didn't take it the right way and got mad at you. And you felt really hurt by his behavior. Almost wanted to cry. And for that, you left him completely. And once you realized just how much it hurt you, he tried to apologize to you immediately, telling you that he should have controlled himself better, and trying to make it up to you in any way he could, which wasn't that difficult, really. Scaramouche. Scaramouche was terrifying, and probably even more terrifying than Venti himself when he was angry, or at least on the same level. He was scary, and that was a regular thing that everyone dealt with, but he was never that way with you. And when he was angry, that scariness and the fear he just emitted in people was multiplied. So, in that moment, you'd be a complete nervous wreck, not knowing what to do. And the thing about Scaramouche, it wasn't like you could talk him out of it. It wasn't like you knew what to do with him. Most people had someone you could talk to, someone you could ask about what you should do when things like this happen. But to Scaramouche, you felt completely alone, lost. And that's when you truly realized just how unstable things were between the two of you. However, soon after, Scaramouche was done with whatever he was doing, and finally, his anger went down a bit. He asked for you, wanting to see you as soon as possible, to explain everything to you, and try to at least apologize, and bridge things up again, because he couldn't afford losing you. Xiao. Xiao was scary when he was being his adaptive self, and before you even knew him, he was kind of intimidating at first. But soon after, you got over it, befriending him and treating him as a friend, and not like an adeptus. But it seems that somewhere along the way, you forgot his status, and the way you could demand respect, fear, and attention from anyone around him when he had to. Xiao was scary when he had to make decisions, tough decisions that you couldn't even believe that you would have to make. But it was also in those moments, the same ones that you would admire him, that you'd be scared of him. But all in all, you knew that even though that fear existed, he would never do anything to compromise you or your relationship, unless it was good for you. But deep inside your heart, you hope that it never comes to that, because you could never handle leaving him at all.